spins around over and over. I'm like, really?
Well, I have a little tip for the special stages when you actually try to do special stages in Sonic 2. Basically, is about the precision of Sonic's jump early. So, like, once there's an actual bend that's about to turn, like right now, you press jump button straight away if you know the mines are there. Because if you jump, like, when you see the mines coming, Tails is definitely going to get hit. So, when you do jump around the bend and you don't even see the mines coming, but Sonic just jump just over the mines, Tails would actually jump over the mines as well. That's what kind of helped me through these special stages.
Nice. So basically, Sonic barely misses the mines and Tails misses it completely.
Yeah, he misses it completely because the delay ratio, I guess, would probably be about 2 or 2.5 seconds. That's how much delay it causes the threat for Sonic to actually bear with Tails helping, because Tails does help a lot. Not to mention in the later part of the special stages that he actually collects a lot of more special, collects more rings to help Sonic, because without Tails in most of the last special stages part, it's going to be very hard to actually collect all the rings unless you're super good at actually spreading Sonic out trying to collect the rings.
Yeah, I can imagine that. You know, it's been a long time since I've played them, but I do know that I've had a couple of times where it's like, yes, Tails, your lifesaver, that one ring that you had made a difference. And it's like, you know, I've definitely seen that before, so I agree with you there.
Yeah, so much onto just playing as Tails by himself. Doesn't make much difference if you was playing as Tails as a one-player character and no Sonic character as well, because I know that you can play as Sonic and Tails, but also you can play as Sonic alone and Tails alone.
Well, I was very disappointed as a kid. Unfortunately, it's really just a sprite swap. You know, it's just the image of Tails instead of Sonic, but the physics are exactly the same. On top of that, in Sonic 3, you know, Tails can fly, he has different physics, he has different pathways. If they would have implemented that into this game, honestly, I think this probably would have been like one of the best games of all time. It already is, but even more so.
Yeah, because showing that it's one of the best games of all time is that it proves it from the Sonic franchise sales, because I think it is the second most high sales behind Sonic 1. Like, Sonic 1 for the mobile, I should say, not for the Genesis.
Yeah, I believe it is, actually.
Like, it's the most high-selling game, like, for Sega Mega Drive, Sonic 2. But just definitely the second highest. But I really think that it should definitely be put up to the second highest because of Sonic's one success, as I said from before, that everyone really liked this new character that came onto the block. That everyone was kind of fed up with Mario and they just wanted to move on and see like a new competitive edge. And most retrospective videos I've seen on YouTube has always been talking about that Sega Mega Drive / Genesis is for teens and adults, and with Nintendo, it's always trying to make it very kid friendly. But at the same time, that it's universal, that's for playable for anyone.
Yep, that's true. Sega was, if I remember correctly, everyone used to use the word hardcore when it came to Sega. And they used to use the word fun when it came to Nintendo. So you're right on the money with that one. You know, Mega Drive, Genesis, they were for everyone, but they had this edge about them that was just kind of like, we're not your average video game console. We're more serious. We got the Mortal Kombats. We got the Duke Nukems of the you know, of the gaming world, and we're not afraid to show it.
Yeah, like more onto that is that it was quite interesting because Nintendo follows suit to what Sega Mega Drive was doing, and SNES really did bring out some hardcore games. Not to mention one of my favorites of all time, Killer Instinct. Mm-hmm. And they definitely took a page to the note of Sega, and you know what happened to Sega after that was that instead of releasing more games, they decided to release more hardware, such as Sega CD, Sega Fate2X, and then to the Sega Saturn.
Right. Yeah, the thing about Nintendo with their hardcore games, they had the hardcore games, but they didn't have the hardcore behind it, if that makes any sense. Because, Mortal Kombat, it was on both consoles back then. First of all, people went to the arcade to play them. And when you go to arcade, those are Sega systems you're playing on. They see the Sega logos, they're like, oh, I'm going home, I'm going to go get me a Sega, I'm going to play Mortal Kombat. Because that game is so hardcore. When you think of Mortal Kombat, you don't really think of Nintendo, you think of arcade. And when you think of arcade, you think of Sega.
Yeah, because Sega used to be in the arcade business beforehand of actually making consoles.
Correct. And they still are, believe it or not. When you go to GameWorks, it's part owned by Sega now. They used to own all of it, but then they kind of sold it to ESPN. Just recently, like within the last couple of months. But, they still do their arcade business. So technically, Sega is still a hardware manufacturer.
It's pretty cool then. But anyway, we are into Emerald Hill Act 2, and also we are into the 4th special stage of Sonic 2. So, with so much special stages being deployed out into the actual first level of the game, does it make it more easier to actually collect all the Chaos Emeralds first, or does it make it more harder as you go by if you collect the Chaos Emeralds in further stages?
I think it makes it easier, actually, because you have the option, you can collect, probably about 3 Chaos Emeralds in just the first stage alone, the first act. And at that rate, you'll have Supersonic unlocked before you even make it to the 3rd stage. So, that's always going to give you the advantage to have Supersonic instead of just playing as Sonic.
I kind of find that criminal though, if you actually get Supersonic before Aquatic Mine Zone. Like, believe it or not, that's one of my favorite water stages. And I really enjoy the music of that, and I just don't really want to hear the Supersonic music over the Aquatic Mine. Or sorry, not Aquatic Mine, it's supposed to be Aquatic Ruin. I was thinking about Sonic Adventure 2 there.
Well, that's a good point, because sometimes I do hate Supersonic themes. Like in Sonic 3, I loved it. It was the best theme ever. They used it in the Progressive commercial, which was awesome. But in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, it's like, this is annoying. You know what? I'll just be Sonic, and then it's like, oh no, I accidentally hit A. And it's like, wow.
Oh yeah.
So
I had that much of that problem as well. My playthrough of Sonic and Knuckles, which we will show that in a later time. And that Supersonic is a painful to actually get away from, because Supersonic, as you should know, is that it's not canon to play as Supersonic in the stages, because Supersonic only comes into the last boss stage, like fight. Many people always say that Supersonic is canon during the stages, but that is false, because Sonic is normally running through the stages and collecting all the emeralds as he goes by.
Right, that's true. And usually, like you said, Supersonic, he's kind of forced on you in the last stages, whereas, during the game, it's kind of optional, It's always optional. It's optional if you're going to collect the emeralds. It's optional if you're going to become Supersonic. It's optional if you're going to get 50 rings. So, I could agree with you there.
So now we're on to our first boss fight. Nice, good to see Dr. Robotnik again. So, what's Dr. Robotnik trying to do against Sonic this time?
This time he's still basic, he's on the ground. The first boss is always a little nerfed, I guess. In a good way. People think nerfed is a bad word, but no, it's not. Nerfed just means dumbed down. It's taken down a notch. It's on level 1. So that was a pretty easy boss with the drill. Of course, when I was a kid,